Good afternoon, one and all present here. I am Priyank Sheth, an ASMP team member. So, with a lot of startup enthu in the industry these days, who better to track our own trajectory than a very old alumni who are once where you are. Presenting to you the first ever edition of Start It Up, where we have 3 alumni with established startups in different sectors. With this, I'd like to call upon Mr. Yogesh Upadhyaya, who did his BTech in Mechanical Engineering in 1993 and went on to do an MBA from IIM Calcutta in 1995. Mr. Yogesh is the founder of 2 startups, Ask How India and Finance Solutions. Ask How India is an initiative to improve the quality of public debate in the country, and Finance Solutions was an IT product and consulting company. Also interesting to note that Mr. Yogesh Upadhyaya is a professional improv comedian and he has performed hundreds of shows in India and abroad. We'd like to hear more about you from you, sir. What's your story?
So you guys can hear me? Aram se? I realize that I'm at the age when I can make a lot of jokes which will look like dad jokes to you. So I will start with a few of them. Not really. Literally before you were born, not very far from here, so long time back in time, but not very far from here in the mechanical engineering department, we had a class in production engineering. And the professor got an entrepreneur to come and talk to us. And the entrepreneur came with a nice product. So it was actually a battery and an inverter, but it was very packaged very nicely and with a light. So you could plug it in and it would charge, and whenever the light went off, you could use it for reading or whatever. And although Bombay electricity used to be pretty good, at that time, a lot of us were outside and we could see the importance of that. This was before Luminous and all kind of started selling it as a product. So he asked us, does this product look good? We said, yeah, it looks good. So it is packaged well, yeah. So he said, would you pay whatever he was charging? So I said, yeah, we will pay that. So he said, okay. I am going to leave 10 of these pieces here, no charge. You guys go and sell it. You sell it for X and give me 70% of X. So honestly, my reaction was, you can say it in a lot of English, but basically फट गई कि यार how am I going to actually sell? मैं तो IIT का student हूँ. I am someone who is here to study technology. Am I going to go to strangers and say, here is this product, why don't you buy it for this? This concept of sales was so scary to me that immediately, if I had any thoughts of doing any entrepreneurship, I just left it aside, did my MBA, took a job. For 5 years, I was doing a job. Okay. So why am I telling this story? Because what I believe now is there is a lot of pressure nowadays for students to be an entrepreneurs ki boss campus se nikalte hi banna hai, bahut bada entrepreneur ban sakte hain, this, that, etc. All kinds of pressure. But entrepreneurial stories, like every story, come in lot of flavors. So if after today you guys decide that you don't want to do it, be an entrepreneur today, first of all, be very happy, koi tension nahi hai. There is no compulsory thing. I will tell you why it is good to be an entrepreneur, but there are a lot of reasons not to be entrepreneur also. Okay. So I've been associated with 3 startups. My first startup was Finance Solutions, which we started in 2000. So after 5 years of doing a job, I started realizing that, like, now I have to use an English word, ennui karke word hota hai, ENNUI. It's like a deep sense of boredom. Ki, is this it? After a few years of job, you start knowing what to do in a job. It is, you know what are the kind of things you need to do well. If you do them regularly, you will do well. And then I started thinking, if I do very well, what would if I become, like in 15, 20 years, I was in a company called CRISIL. If 15, 20 years, if I become the CEO of CRISIL, not that anyone was going to make me CEO, pehli baat, but like I thought, if I become a CEO, would that make me happy? And I said, no, yaar, it will not make me happy. Maza nahi aa raha hai. And that was my motivation to get into a startup. And the startup was Finance Solutions. We started as a projects company. We used to do IT services projects. Some of the projects started doing well. We used to work with asset management companies like Prudential ICICI, Templeton, HDFC. The product started doing well. We would say, okay, this is a project we have done with X. Why don't we do it with Y? Over a period of time, that became a product. And over a period of time is also interesting, and I'll tell you more about it later. So that is my first experience. Currently, I run a not-for-profit startup called Ask How, that is to improve the quality of public debate, and we can talk about it a little bit. I have also run for a few years a theater group, improvised theater. If you guys know what improvised theater is, I believe Comicstan mein aata hai, thoda sa short spec segment. Unscripted theater, where you go on stage without a script and either do a 2-3 minute skit, or you can do even a full 1 hour play. So I've done that. I have mentored a lot of startups. I have also helped businesses which are in trouble, which are not making money. So I've also done that. And from all of that, a very firm, and hopefully the other entrepreneurs will agree, one very firm learning I can give you is you can learn entrepreneurship only by doing it. So people like me saying something, you reading on the net, it is maybe useful, but that is 1% of the thing. You have to do it to realize it. And to really illustrate that, I would ask you, people who play sports of some kind here, raise their hands.
Just for fun.
Just for fun is fine. Just for fun is fine. I don't say Virat Kohli here, so yeah. Nobody's making money out of it, no problem. Okay. Who plays a musical instrument here? Very good. Just for fun again, I'm sure. Yeah. No, not for fun.
I learned it. Like I gave exams and all.
Okay, so not just for fun. All right, first bit. Who here has seen Big Bang Theory? So Big Bang Theory has this very interesting small segment, you can find it on YouTube very easily, in which Sheldon Cooper says that he learned swimming on the internet. So he says he learned swimming on the internet, and Leonard says, but you have never gone in water. But he says, I know how to swim. So he says, I can swim on the floor. So you can learn how to swim on the floor, but to learn to swim in the water, you have to go in water, and entrepreneurship is like that. It is learning by doing. So I like, just to give you a very simple example, there is a class of businesses called D2C. Bada acha naam hai, but D2C essentially means, like for example, I have 2 friends who sell perfumes online. So they get order online and they sell it. Now, if anyone has not done any D2C business, if I ask you, what is the cost of COD orders? I lose all of you. Sab log aisa aankhon ke samne, there will be a glaze. What is this guy talking about? But essentially, it means that if, I'm sure you guys would be living COD orders. So they will say, COD order ka bahut problem aata hai. But COD is essentially cash on delivery, and if cash on delivery is done, you need much more money to get the same order. Even if the profitability is high, you need a lot of investment. But if I say all this is theory, everyone says, it makes sense. But unless you are doing it, the importance of it will not come. So there are countless examples. So learning in entrepreneurship is mainly by doing. Naturally, a question will come up, what do we do? We are not right now students. How do we actually learn? And we'll come to that. But always remember that learning is by doing and not by studying. So once you start your business, actually you should reduce your online consumption of gyan on entrepreneurship by 90% because it is all useless. All what you need is to actually figure out what is the problem right now your business is facing, how you can solve it. Okay. Second point. Third problem is you need to learn a lot. There is nothing that is not in your scope. Koi defined syllabus to hai nahi, or undefined syllabus is also a lot. So it might be, you might need to learn a lot about finance. You might need to learn a lot about marketing. You might need to learn a lot about a lot of things, and there is no escape. You can't, like if you are in a regular job, someone says, sir, our office lease is running out and we are in CRZ zone or something. So you say, facility management guy will handle. As an entrepreneur, if you are a 10-member team or a 150-member team with people in finance, etc., you still need to get into that and understand it. If not for anything else, so that you are able to get two parties to talk. Because those two parties are salaried people, their responsibility stops at a level, your entrepreneurship responsibility starts at that level. Okay. So what are we saying? You need to learn by doing, and you need to learn a lot. So what do you need to know, learn? You don't know, because it will depend on what business you have and what problems that business face, but you need to learn a lot. So if you guys are thinking that you want to kind of practice to be entrepreneurs, one of the best things you could do even today is outside your syllabus learn a lot. And it really doesn't matter what you're learning. Okay? It could be to learn to play a guitar. I don't know what you play, but a guitar, all right. So you look like a guitarist, so I took a guess. So, or it could be anything, and we'll come to that later. Especially the domain, you need to learn, whatever you are getting into, you need to learn much more than anyone else in the world. So one of the teams I was mentoring, or I was not mentoring them, I just came for an event here some time back, few months back, and the event was very nice. It was called Invent at IIT, where people in 6 weeks were going to make a prototype of a product of a problem they were going to solve. And one of the teams was working on a disease called clubfoot. Clubfoot is a disease where small kids are born with a deformity, so their leg might be slightly tida. So they are making a device which will be on their legs, and over a period of time it will straighten it. And so it's a complex thing. But to that set of students, my advice or my strong recommendation was, you are starting off today, but if you are doing this for a few months, let us say till the month, if you're running it as a business, 6 months down the line, you should know more about clubfoot than 99% of the doctors in the world. This can be done, and this should be done. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, or think like an entrepreneur at least, this is something you should start practicing. Take any field, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be in medicine, it can be in law, whatever is interesting you. Maybe you're at your native place, your property is in dispute, it depends on a particular couple of laws. Learn it as much, so much, that you can tell the lawyer what is wrong with you, what is wrong with his way of thinking. If someone in your family is ill with a particular disease, and now you are at age where your parents will start getting that disease, read so much that you know it more than anyone else. It is possible to do. It is only our brain which stops us from doing it. And this attitude that says that I can learn more than anyone in the world, 99%, you will never be the top expert, and you shouldn't be, but at 90 percentile is an attitude. It is not a matter of skill. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, or even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, I would heavily recommend taking that skill and developing it. So just to kind of go on the next point of that, one of the things what happens for us as a student when we come in is our expectation of the world is something like, the problems I face will be well defined, like they are in part of a syllabus, and when professor asks me a question on an exam, it is well defined problem. This is, there is a lever पे ये force लगा है, दूसरी तरफ वो force लगा है, finally net force क्या होगा, वगैरह. Not only the problem is well defined, the problem also, you will know within 15 days of your exam whether you were right or not. This is in sharp contrast to what will happen in outside world, but especially in entrepreneurship. We have two current entrepreneurs, and I guess they will say the same thing. What happens in entrepreneurship is an ill-defined problem. There is a vague idea. This is what we have to do. There is maybe, we are also not sure, nobody sure. Maybe there is a market for this. And to tap this market, maybe we need to do this. And when you start doing that, you don't get a feedback. Because you might do something for 6 months and you are not successful. At that time, let's say you are running a marketing campaign. You are not successful because you are not running it well, or there is no demand for it. You don't know. So there are no definite answers in entrepreneurship. Actually, there are no definite answers in pretty much most life outside of student life. But especially in entrepreneurship, at least in a normal job, people will give you targets. This is supposed to be done. You do it, you will get a salary, you will get an increment. Here, you don't know. You don't know, sometimes you don't even know 10 years down the line. You may be very successful, but were you successful because you are lucky? Were you unsuccessful because you were unlucky? Nobody knows. Nobody can tell you answers to this. And this is a problem for an entrepreneur always. The best entrepreneurs face this problem, and the worst of us also face this problem, and we don't know whether we are best or worst. So learning by doing is very tough because there are no scorecards. Everything else we have been doing, there have been scorecards. We discussed one attitude that you can try to cultivate, and I'll kind of suggest methods of cultivating that. What is called the growth attitude, saying that I can learn anything, whether it is law or whatever. So find out problems people are facing in your life, in your parents' life, in your relatives' life, and try to become an expert in that. That will be a good attitude. Another attitude that is incredibly difficult to cultivate is the attitude of listening. So we started as a projects company. We thought this is what the client should do. And we told the client, this is what you should do. One client listened to us. And then we took the same project to someone else and said, this is what you should do. He said, okay. And some months down the line, we realized that they were doing something totally different from the project, what we were telling them to do. So natural instinct for a person like me, as a student or as a young professional, is one of almost ego hurt. Arey, aise thodi na karte tum bewakoof ho kya? That is most of you may not be like that, but there may be one or two people in the audience like me who will think that. To that person, I would say that actually the biggest skill you have to get in to learn is the skill of listening. Listening to the market and saying, this is what we want. And being able to say, okay, I am flexible enough to modify my thinking to do that. Right. So how do you as a student develop these skills? Number one, do things. Really do things. And compared to हमारे ज़माने में जब आप लोग पैदा भी नहीं हुए थे, there are a lot of opportunities to do things. So there are maker spaces. Even if you have never made anything in your life, just go and make something. Make the simplest thing possible, but do make it. Okay? Go and make it. Participate in programs like GDC. GDC is a Gopal Krishna Deshpande Center in IIT Madras. I think they come here also. Ideas program is there, which does a lot of things. Go with ideas there. Ideas is the acronym, but go with ideas and try to participate in them. But remember, you will find a way to succeed in them because there will be an algorithm to get into that competition. There will be an algorithm to do well in that competition. But when you finally start running your business, there is no algorithm. But at least it starts giving you a different way of doing things, doing things. There may be other programs. Do other things. If you have not started learning anything, or if you are an accomplished guitarist, learn something totally different, something totally out of your comfort zone. Learn a new sport. Go on stage. Be a theater artist. I was one of the reasons I got so scared about sales was I was one of the shyest people that you know. It was very, very difficult for me to go in front of people and speak. Today, one of the 3 things I do very actively is I perform improvised theater. An improvised theater is you go on stage without a script and sometimes do a 1-hour play. Obviously, when you do it for the first time, you really are bad at it. But once you do it 10 times, you are still very, very bad at it. Then you do it 100 times, and you are still very bad at it, but you stop caring about it. And then once you do it a few more 100 times, then you start saying, yeah, it's fun actually. It is not that difficult, it is fun. So the hump is the problem in all of these things. When you're learning by doing, we are so used to, I am sure all the people here are very successful. At least a few of you have as big as egos as I used to, and I still do. So your ego will always come in the way. You're looking like a fool in front of people. Nobody cares. Everyone is bothered about themselves looking as fool. But your ego will say, you're looking like a fool. What does he think of me? What does she think of me? Go over them, start learning, start failing, start doing really, really tough things. I always remember one of the things when I was doing improv, I went for something called clowning. Clowning, you guys know what is clowning? Clowning is learning how to be a clown. So not very tough. It was not a trick question. So clowning is one of the toughest things to do on stage. A clown goes on stage and just tries to make you laugh without any content, without any team, and just based on whatever, so I did a clowning workshop in which there were 11 of my fellow students with me and the instructor. And the instruction was, you are a whale, make us laugh. Okay. So you come and whatever is in your mind, do ha, hu, whatever. And you're not confident, like ha, hu, kar rahe ho, kya yaar, what is this? You are yourself saying this is bloody embarrassing, right? It is embarrassing, by the way. So I'm not going to say it is not embarrassing, it's really embarrassing. So you do this ha, hu, ha, and nobody laughs. And all those are your fellow students who know that they are going to come next. So they want to laugh, they want you to be successful, but you can't make them laugh. So instructor says, 20 seconds ho gaya. Oh, only 20 seconds. I thought it was like 10 minutes. Okay. Says, go back, Yogesh. Go to the end of the room. Take your time. Turn around. Try something new. And you keep doing this till you succeed. Okay. So, अभी तो मैं बड़े मजे से बोल रहा हूँ ये. मैं तो क्लाउन नहीं बन पाया, by the way. बहुत tough है. Clowning is, I said नहीं होगा मेरे से. But once you do something like that and fail, you say, यार ठीक है ना, क्या होगा यार, जा सदा. क्या हुआ भी क्या? Like I was doing it, actually I had gone to London for something. I was doing it with in front of some 11, 12 people I will never meet again. And anyway, if I meet them again, they are also in the same boat. Not that they could make me laugh. So all of us were the same. So what is the embarrassment about that? So try to learn things. And I can see in this room some people getting really uncomfortable even in the thought of getting in front of people and doing that. Don't. If you are feeling very scared about it, you don't have to do it today. But keep in mind, trying to do something really tough, even if you fail, gives you the idea, gives you the confidence that something else can be done. There is in fact, I remember right now, there was on internet I saw a challenge, I've forgotten it, but every day you do something very unusual. So like examples were, you go into a Starbucks or a coffee shop and just lie down on the floor. And you do it for 2 minutes. And people will come and ask you, what has happened? Nothing. You just be there for 2 minutes and then just get up and go. Okay. Guys, don't get uncomfortable. If I had somebody had come and told me, to do sales and मैंने कहा मेरे को entrepreneur नहीं बनना यार. So don't have to do it today. I'm just saying if you think of some things like these which are really tough, it'll take away a lot of your fears about other things. So after giving you such a tough one, let me give some very simple exercise that all of you can do, and someone like me also could have done when I was a student, is just to go to the most sophisticated boutique shop that you know or a restaurant and buy something from the sales girl or sales boy of opposite sex. Okay, I couldn't have done that in '93. So I was from Udaipur. I hadn't seen in most of the, like these shops used to be really scary. But you go there, make eye contact, talk to them, and buy something. Or if you want to be really tough, talk to them for 5 minutes and they say, thank you very much. I am not interested, and walk out. So one last thing you can do, and this is very easy to do because this is totally in our wheelhouse, in our comfort zone, is to start looking around you and figuring out what makes businesses tick. So as engineers, we are very very comfortable with non-ambiguous things. Our physics 101 का जो पूरा rigid bodies में क्या होता है वगैरह सब friction इतना है, we calculate, we come with an answer. But in unstructured things, and this you can do just talking to each other. So you have Gulmohar. How much, who here knows Gulmohar? Who has been to Gulmohar? Okay. How much do you think Gulmohar makes every day? Bahut is a good answer. It's a good answer. But maybe it is not bahut. How much do you think it makes? Okay. How would you answer that question?
Depending upon the number of customers serving.
Okay, good. How would you know the number of customers?
Number of bills generated.
Okay. And how much do you think would be value of each? 500 per bill?
No, per person. Like
Per person 500?
you go to the restaurant on the first floor.
I was talking about the cafe.
Oh,
So, yeah, good. Let's do it. Let's do it.
The average amount, I mean, based on the what items they are purchasing,
How much do you think would be?
it could be around 100.
100, good. And how many people come every day to them?
Maybe around 1,000.
1,000 people?
Yeah, maybe more.
Maybe more, maybe less. How would we know that?
Depending upon the scenario in the campus. If it is a festive season, then maybe more number of people are coming.
Sure, let's assume a normal campus day without when the students are in, not when summer holidays are on. How many? 1,000, 800, whatever. So the answer is not important. But next time you are sitting in Gulmohar, try to figure out an answer to this question. And it is not important whether you are right or wrong.
We have been doing it for Tapriwala, like
Fantastic. How much does a Tapriwala make? Actually, which Tapriwala? Good.
nearby to college. I mean,
Huh?
so maybe around 5,000, 6,000 a day.
5,000, 6,000 a day. And how much would his cost be?
Margin would be around 60%.
60%.
No, not 60%. But that is more than an engineer could earn after getting
Which Tapriwala?
I mean, during my BTech, we used to talk about it. Like after getting a bachelor's degree, we should rather open a Tapri shop.
There is an entrepreneur who did just that, by the way. Anyway, but these discussions are fantastic. I encourage you to have these discussions about everything and try to even verify that. Like, how would you verify how many people come? Okay, you just start talking to the waiter. You ask him, यार कितने लोग आते हैं? वो बोलेगा कुछ 200, 400. People are very open about a lot of things. You start talking to people, like if you are sitting in an auto rickshaw, how much does he make? Just understanding business from that point of view is very, at least for people like me, very interesting thing to do, and it upskills you like anything. So that is one side. The other side is even ask, who here has a mobile phone? अब तो सब हाथ उठाओ यार, like ऐसा डरे मैं स्विमिंग पूछा तो रोक दिया, अभी तो सबको हाथ उठाना है, right? So which mobile phone do you have and why? Ask yourself that question. OnePlus One. Samsung. Why?
Because I like the UI.
Okay.
More productive.
So if you start asking this question yourself really deeply, you will find layers and layers and layers. Why? Like there may be other phones in this world who have a much better UI, but you are not even aware of them, or you don't find them reliable. You might have said, I will choose only one of two Samsung and whatever, and this has a better UI and this has this price. So if you start looking at your own decision, one of my favorite things is people say, I am not brand conscious. So, okay, what shirt are you wearing? So, I don't wear Tommy Hilfiger, I wear whatever is, I will wear Woodlands or whatever. So, but you are brand conscious, yeah? You just prefer the brand Woodland. So, how our own behavior is governed while we are making decisions. If you start examining them, that is phenomenal practice for being an entrepreneur, and that is phenomenal practice for learning about yourself. I'll just take a last 2-3 minutes. I'm not even sure if I have overstayed my welcome. So with all these difficulties, like why would you want to be an entrepreneur is a very, very good question that you should ask yourself. If your answer is entrepreneur is because you want to make a lot of money, I would seriously kind of ask you to re-examine your choices. Because one of the things I used to say, and this is trademark, so anytime any entrepreneur uses it, please credit it to me. Entrepreneurship is the toughest way of not making money. So for the few years till you got an exit or got funded and kind of got enough money to pay yourself, you will struggle, you will have no idea whether you will be successful or not, and you will be making much lesser money than your batchmates, especially those batchmates who are doing data analytics at Google or Amazon or whatever. There is no comparison. So probabilistically speaking, everyone understands probabilistically speaking, right? Like if there is a match between Afghanistan and Australia, who will win? Cricket match. Australia. Every match? No, probabilistically speaking, Australia will win. Similarly, entrepreneur, probabilistically speaking, will make lesser money than a job guy. So why do we want to do this is a question you should ask. So for me, one of the things is I'm 50 plus, I meet a lot of people who are in jobs, who are my good friends, and I meet a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. I find a lot of job seekers, who have done only jobs, very interesting people. But probabilistically speaking, entrepreneurs are much more interesting. For some reason, 90% of the time, entrepreneur will be very interesting to talk to. और बोलेगा अरे अच्छा आदमी है, इससे मजा आया. Job वाला में it drops down to 60-50%. That is the reason you should be an entrepreneur, because it really makes you face reality and life. So it's like a very philosophical answer. But in exchange, you get anxiety, you get long hours. So if you are looking at being an entrepreneur, I would suggest learn how to manage them. One of the things you should try to do is learn meditation as soon as possible. If there is anyone like me here, I would be laughing. And so you laugh, thank you. I would be laughing if I were in your age. But मैं बोलता हूँ मैं बहुत ही carefree आदमी था. 10-15 साल entrepreneurship करके meditation वगैरह सीखना ही पड़ता है, ठीक है? जितना जल्दी सीखोगे उतना अच्छा है. So that's about it, yeah. That's all. So just to go back to the sales thing, with all the theater training, running businesses for 10-15 years, meeting so many people, do I like sales still? No, I don't like sales still. I still hate it. I am a products guy. I like to make products. But I know that without a good sales team, कुछ होता ही नहीं है. तुम कितना भी अच्छा product बना लो, बेचना बहुत ज़रूरी है. अब कर सकता हूँ मैं, ठीक है? So entrepreneurship will be something that will tell you a lot about yourself, and that is the reason you should consider doing an entrepreneurship. Thank you very much. Okay, questions right now?
Thank you, sir. We learned a lot from you, especially the things like lying in Starbucks or buying something from someone else. I also had some friend who asked me once to walk with an umbrella in no sun or rain.
Very good idea. But that would be easy, no?
Yeah, I did that.
Very good.
Okay. So, sir, we have some questions.
Sure.
First of all, we'd like to know what your startup Ask How and what was its trajectory. Maybe also, does the IIT and tag help, or maybe as you said, the Finance solution startup that you had that you sold to the investors or someone, does the IIT and tag help somewhere?
So Ask How is an initiative to improve the quality of public debate. If anyone out here has seen a TV debate on any issue of importance, they know that at least what we are doing is we are tackling a very, very big problem. मानते हैं ना कि बस debate quality काफी बेकार होता है. So there are a lot of reasons why debate qualities are bad, discussion quality is bad. One of the reasons is that we are all partisan. If I'm a Modi bhakt, then I'll always be pro-Modi. If I'm anti-Modi, then I'll always be anti-Modi. Doesn't matter what it is about. You can see the whole world like that, right? But one of the reasons people don't have good quality discussions, and at the highest levels a lot of times, is because issues are really complex. And it is not possible for a generalist to dive into and understand complex issues like environment problems, coal, what is the problem with renewable energy, उसका क्या problems हैं. मैं renewable energy की problems बोलता हूँ तो most of the people say, boss renewable energy की problem कुछ नहीं है, it is the green thing, that is what it should come, boss यही होना चाहिए. हमारी चीज़ें पढ़ो समझ में आएगा क्या क्या problem उसके साथ. But anyway, so these are complex things. You can't, a normal person cannot go into them. So what we do is we go deep into these issues and then present them in a very, very simplified manner so that anyone can understand. So if you guys are interested in these kind of issues, I strongly urge you to go to askhowindia.org and also go to my writing on Medium. You can subscribe on both of the places. Go to my Twitter feed, which is Yogesh Upadhyaya, that is it, without the YAYA. Twitter pay and follow me, or I have a Telegram channel, so you can follow me and read stuff. And I can assure you that about a lot of complex things, you will be very, very surprised. Just read the first thing that we have on Ask How India on population of India. I guarantee you that you will have at least 10 times you will say, oh shit, I didn't know this. Not just you. I have had CEOs who have been running companies for 20, 30 years, 50-year-old people they don't understand a lot about a lot of things. That was your first question. The ID tag helps or not? That was the second question. Does the ID tag help? It helps a little. That, like, if you are going to someone, especially at the beginning of your career, if you go to someone and say you are from IT, they will listen to you. But that's a loan of 5 minutes. I'm giving you 5 minutes because you are passing the first filter. All of us are busy. So for everything we have filters, by the way. So even which TikTok or YouTube videos we see will have filters. We will not see, because there is too much now, there is so many things demanding our attention that we have filters. So if someone is successful and you're going to meet him, he says, okay, you are from IIT, I'll give you 5 minutes. But within 5 minutes, if you're not able to make me interested, then I will, oh shit, hurry, I have to go. Sorry, something has happened, I've got a message, and we'll meet later, वगैरह करके निकल जाएगा. So it helps, but not too much.
Thank you, sir. Loud round of applause for Mr. Yogesh Upadhyaya. Now I'd like to call upon Mr. Apurva Godbole, an alum of 2008 batch Civil Engineering, who is also associated with not one but two startups, the co-founder of Drona Aviation and Crazy Travelers. Also, we have his co-founder, Mr. Dinesh Sen, who will be introducing later. Let's hear from him first.
योगेश, आपका टॉक सुन के बहुत फोमो हो गया मेरे को. मतलब मेरे पास कुछ ऐसा इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ें बताने के लिए है नहीं. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू बी लाइक अ स्टैंडर्ड ये हुआ sort of things. But I will borrow a few things from what you said. So thanks for that. Right. So hi guys. I am Apurva Godbole, 2008 batch Civil Engineering. So I joined 2004. 4 years of civil engineering I did. At the end of the 4th year, I was very clear कि civil engineering तो नहीं हो पाएगी मुझसे. So I was very clear about that. One good thing that happened to me was I had 2 of these professors. Anybody from civil engineering here? I see 2 hands go up. One more. I had 2 professors, Professor Alok Goyal and one water resources, Kapil Gupta. Right? Have you taken classes from any of them? ठीक है, अगर क्लासेस लो या ना लो, जनरल फंडे लेने चले जाओ उनके पास. They are very great guys. In fact, these were 2 guys who really started talking about entrepreneurship among us when it wasn't really a sexy thing to do, right? I remember Professor Kapil Gupta, he came up and he said कि हमारे पास बहुत सारे land measuring के projects आते हैं. Would one of you like to start a company and do these projects for us? Excitement में एकदम excite हो गए, but आगे कुछ किया नहीं उसके बारे में. But at least that was the first time we started thinking in that direction, right? I was still not excited enough to start my own company right after graduating. I knew civil engineering तो नहीं करनी है, तो I just took up whatever job I could get. So I worked in finance for a while, in investment banking. I was with Credit Suisse, 2 years here in Mumbai, 2.5 years in Hong Kong. And with 4.5 years of strong finance experience, I realized I don't want to do finance either. This is definitely not something I can do. And this is exactly on the lines of what he said, कि can I sit and visualize myself कि हाँ ये 5 साल बाद या 10 साल बाद, this is where I will be. And I was like, no, I can't live like that, मतलब यार कुछ भी हो, IIT से है, कुछ ना कुछ तो figure out कर लेंगे, right? Let's take some, मतलब if we can't do it, then क्या point है, right? So that's what I did. So January 2013 was when I quit in Hong Kong. And I was like, so it was a difficult thing because they used to pay very well. And I wasn't paid I was not among the highest paid there, but it was still like a comfortable place to be that way. So निकलते समय I was like कि चलो निकल रहे हैं, let's take back something from here, right? That was in Hong Kong. So initially ये था कि हाँ बहुत सारे souvenirs वगैरह कुछ लेके जाएंगे, but then I thought why not spend a little more time and take the language from here. So from Hong Kong I went to Beijing and I spent 2 months there. I think first first 10-15 days I tried to learn both how to speak and to write. But then मैंने टीचर को बोल दिया कि मेरे को मतलब कुछ ये नहीं करना है. I just really want to talk to people, right? That's what I want to do. So just teach me how to speak and teach me how to listen. Funny thing about learning a new language, and matlab, since we are from India, we don't realize this very easily, that the process of speaking is actually very different from the process of listening, right? What used to happen is कि मैं किसी से बात कर रहा हूँ, मैंने कुछ उससे कुछ sentence बोला, he would reply back and I would stare at him for 5 seconds. I'm trying to process what he's saying, and then फिर धीरे धीरे हाँ okay. Then I would respond back to him. So yeah, I spent 2 months learning Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and then I thought. So that time I had read a book. It's called From Heaven Lake. अगर किसी को chance मिले तो पढ़ लेना. Indian author की है. Where he took a journey from a lake in Urumqi via Nepal to India. So I was like, why don't we attempt to recreate that? So I got a cinematographer and we started a journey from Hong Kong, and it was a 69 days journey from Hong Kong to Lucknow. So Hong Kong se start kiya, we went along the southern border, then we went to Beijing, and along the northern border, Tibet, Nepal, India, वैसे. And when you was talking about sales bit, right? So remember, this is a time before TikTok and before Instagram had really hit it off. Instagram still was just for photos. It had not started bringing out videos back then. So this guy would randomly make me stand in the middle of a busy street and make me dance or talk or do some very embarrassing things, right? And I was like, what are you doing? So he was a film school grad, so he had an idea of what he was attempting to do, right? I had zero idea, and he was making me do all of this stuff. What that did was it definitely helped me break the shame a little bit. The embarrassment थी, वो shame थी, वो break करने में मुझे काफ़ी help हुई, right? What the trip also helped me do was it taught me how to walk up randomly to a person and start a conversation in whichever way possible, like figure out and start a conversation, and that too in a foreign language, right? I still remember the first frame or the first scene I shot for that travelogue. So we recorded around, I think 2.5 or 3 terabytes of footage that time. So the first scene that I shot was extremely uncomfortable, but by the time we covered through like a month or two, it had started simplifying. I could really walk up to and start talking. That was actually my entire sales training, well not entire, but a good chunk of sales training that I had at that time, right? How do you walk up to someone and how do you establish that connect where वो बैठ के हमारी बात सुन लेगा, right? That was my first step in sales training. Otherwise, if someone was to tell me, say 12 or 15 years ago that I'll start working in sales, I would have laughed it off. Like that was just not a thing, just not possible for me, right? So we took all of that footage, we came back to India. Long story short, we did not have enough editing talent or editing manpower where we could make it into a film. And honestly, we also did not have a clear go-to-market strategy कि हम इसको बना के मार्केट में बेचेंगे और पैसा कहाँ से आएगा, वो थोड़ा सा clarity नहीं था, and that's where we sort of fell short. So if I were to do this today, I would do it in an entirely different manner. But I came back to Mumbai, and from Mumbai, so I used to swim for IIT Bombay, inter-IIT swimming water polo. I got in touch with the team again, and that's where I met Prasanna, and through Prasanna I met Dinesh, and the three of us together started Drona Aviation. The idea was, actually there was no clear idea honestly that time. The team, Prasanna and Prasanna's team had been working with drones for a while. We knew how to build drones, and the idea was कि हाँ drones आता है चलो business खड़ा करते हैं. But again, if I were to do this today, that's very wrong way to go about doing things. Rather than finding a hammer and then trying to solve every problem using the hammer, figure out कि अपने को क्या problem solve करना है and then go about solving it, because that's exactly what we did. We said कि हाँ चलो drone बना सकते हैं, चलो फिर drone services देना start कर देते हैं. Without, I think we spoke to a few people, but like really few people, right? And then when we started going and talking to them, and they just were not interested, or they wanted something specific else, like a whole host of things. We did do a shoot for a TV series called Begusarai, right? Yeah. So उसके एक trailer में एक shot था हमारा, but that was about it. And उस time पे फिर एक बंदे ने he claimed to have flown a pizza from one center in Powai to, I think, was it IIT or some other place. That really got the authorities spooked कि भाई आज पिज़्ज़ा डिलीवर किया है, कल बॉम्ब डाल देगा, कल परसों कुछ और डाल देगा, ड्रग्स डाल देगा. They're like drone ban, खत्म. Like nobody will do business, nothing. And then we were left with like absolutely nothing. We knew how to do drones, but we didn't know, like we did not have any market that we could address, you know, with that. So हमने सोचा कि अगर, so the only thing that can be legal here is if we work with the government. So हमने government के लिए काफ़ी efforts डाले. Initially we were working on an idea for lifeguard drone. Now this is when we started doing some things right. So we went to the beaches, we talked to the lifeguards, we understood what problems they are, you know, facing, and how do we go about solving their problem. We also asked them ki, who is the person who would take, you know, who would have the authority to buy this, or who can get this done. So that was in Mumbai, that is the fire department. So we went to the firefighting, we went to the chief fire officer. I think he is now the Maharashtra chief fire officer. We spoke to him, we, you know, told him everything. He then gave us a larger, you know, problem statement कि हाँ आप lifeguarding तो करो, but you also attempt to do firefighting drones for me. मेरे पास ये problems हैं. So we did that entire thing. Again, the approach, the idea was like then got a very good structure कि कैसे करना है. Problem with this is we still don't know, or we at least did not know how to do business with government. Like they have this entire long tendering process where they would not fund your research and all of that. And we did definitely struggle with raising funds at that time, because we're talking about a time when investing in a hardware startup was not something you had heard of, or there weren't enough hardware success stories that could, you know, that could generate enough interest for everyone. Usme you've got a government angle, then it becomes even more tougher. So we struggled for that. ये सब करते करते हमारा almost एक साल चला गया. In 1 year we were like कि यार मतलब कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है, भूख लग रही है, खाने के लिए कुछ तो लेके आते हैं. So that's when we started with कि भाई अपने को क्या आता है, वो we'll start selling that. And that's when we went into like जो भी है बेचो mode, right? And जैसे भी है बेचो mode. And we realized we understand drones. Can we simplify it and just do drone trainings? And then we found out market में कुछ भी लोग कुछ भी मतलब shit बेच रहे थे at whatever pricing. So we thought at least we'll do a good job at it. And we did do a good job at it. We built a good curriculum, and करते करते we went out. We also realized that there isn't exactly a good low-cost drone that you can use to teach drones, right? Or the concept behind drones. So then that's when we decided we built like a very dirty prototype of this. We don't have it with us, right now?
You might have seen that.
Yeah. So the first one we built was actually built with balsa wood. अगर यहाँ पे कोई aerospace से है? हाँ. So अगर aero modeling में आप देखते हो तो सबसे पहले balsa के models बनते हैं, right? ये करके. So हमने उसी का एक model बना के we tested out. Then we did plastic. What was the plastic? We had sheets, polycarbonate. So that's what we did with. It was pretty shabby, but we still sold it. Our idea was simple: जो है बेचो, but give the best customer support that you can after that. If the customer comes back to you कि भाई ये टूट गया है, ये problem हो गया है, वो problem हो गया, we are like, okay, no questions asked, we'll fix it for you. We'll either fix it for you or replace it for you or whatever. That at least gave a lot of confidence to the customers who would come to us कि हाँ भाई कुछ भी है, these guys are there to take care of us. So वहाँ से we got our initial set of customers. We realized कि this is something we are good at. This is also something we are uniquely propositioned to do. ये value proposition और किसी का वहाँ पे नहीं था. So we went in with that and मतलब उसी पे हम double down करते गए. We built a distributor network with, I don't know, around 30-40 distributors across the country. At the same time, we then reached out, we built programs for Niti Aayog, free courses for them, which they can then do. There's something called as Atal Tinkering Labs. Has anybody heard? You guys are, you might have heard. Has anybody been a part of Atal Tinkering Labs? Anybody from first or second year here? Second year, okay. Okay. If you are in fourth year now, then you would be in 12th in 2018. So yes, I think some of you might have had ATL, Adult Tinkering Labs, in your school, or maybe not. But yeah, so we were a part of all of those tinkering labs across the country. I think that is something that is now bringing us one of the largest chunks of our revenue. I think that also got us to a stable place कि hey, there is this value proposition जिसमें लोगों को interest है, and then from then we started building our own presence on online sales. We tried our own website. We also tried Amazon. Amazon worked very well for us in the beginning. Now we have started slowly building on our own website and going with that. And yeah, so that went on for a while. Then the pandemic hit. Pandemic sort of hit us very hard at that point of time. And then I sort of stepped out from a full-time role, and then Dinesh took over. The good thing is, as soon as Dinesh took over, the company became profitable. So I realized some things we could have done earlier. But yeah, and the company is doing well now. We are generating profits. We are growing steadily year on year. And yeah, in fact, that is primarily the reason I also brought Dinesh to this talk. Without him here, anything that I say would be incomplete. So yeah, that has been our journey till now. Again, I'd sort of cut it short here because I'd rather have a conversation and question and answers because I haven't had it as structured as you did before. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. For this, I'd like to have questions from the audience. If somebody has some questions.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, I'm Jitarth. It was really great hearing you. I wanted to ask, when you quit your job first, then you said you went on a trip, right?
Yeah.
What was the idea behind it? You said you were also shooting videos. Did you have that in your mind?
Right. So if I'm this loud, will this record enough? Will you guys be able to hear if I'm this loud?
Yes.
Okay. So honestly, when I left, I was like कि थोड़ा break ले लेते हैं because finance can be exhausting. And honestly, the thought behind going to China was कि भाई यहाँ से कुछ लेके चलते हैं, right? And instead of just a typical souvenir, I thought a language would be a good idea. Like that is something that would stay with me forever, right? So even today I can speak a little bit. Give me 1 week and I can have fluent conversations with you. Once I had that, once I did that 2-month course, that time I realized, the thing with China is, if you don't speak the language, you will end up exploring just those very specific touristy places. जैसे Beijing हो गया, Chinese, the Great Wall of China का एक specific portion हो गया, Shanghai के 1-2 जगह है. But other than that, you cannot really see what's China, what's inside. Because I was able to learn the language, at least partially, I was able to talk to people and really, feel the land and feel the country quite a bit. So the idea कि हाँ इसको we'll shoot this thing and everything, that evolved as I learned the language. कि हाँ अगर है, since I had read the book, I knew I could not write. So if I cannot write, can I film this and show that story to the world? That was the thought process. And midway through my 2-month course, I figured ki, hey, maybe if I get a cinematographer, it could work very well for me. That was the thought process.
And also, when you quit, did you have the thought about drones in your mind already or something?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I first heard about drones from the cinematographer I hired for the travelogue. He had just found out about drones that can take aerial photos and videos. So that's when I first heard about it. And when I came back to India and I found out कि जो aquatics team में ये बंदा है already drones पे काम कर रहा है, I was very excited कि भाई ये I can be a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. A loud round of applause for Mr. Apurva Godbole. Now I'd like to call upon his co-founder, Mr. Dinesh Sen, who also coincidentally is the person who taught our fourth speaker for the day, Manastu Space founder, Mr. Ashtesh Kumar, how to fly a plane in his first year. So Mr. Dinesh Sen is a 2014 batch aerospace BTech student who was also the aero modeling club manager. Maybe we'll have a presentation of the drone too. That was amazing. Thank you, sir. Since you have heard a lot about Drona Aviation from Mr. Apurva himself, I'll maybe ask you some questions like what is the craziest thing you have seen drones doing, or what unseen opportunities did you see that made your startup a huge success, or something that you want to add to his speech?
So this was actually the craziest thing I always do when I talk about drone aviation or myself. And that's how we actually sometimes we enter to the whenever we talk to investors or so that. What is your question, sir?
What, like pizza delivery or something else that you have done via drones?
No, we didn't deliver the pizza. Actually, nobody have delivered the pizza right now. Yeah, they are delivering medicines. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, a lot of drones are being used as loitering ammunition and all of that.
Yes.
So can you, if you are into this topic, could you tell us something about it?
So those drones that you're looking at are like the really large aircrafts. These are the size of actual planes that go out. The beauty of them is there's nobody sitting inside, and they're doing well. So this is what drones, the word drones were associated with right until I would say the entire 2000s. Drones would essentially elicit that thought, the ones that are in the sky and can attack anyone at any time. Those were the thing. But 2010s, especially what happened was early 2000s, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, late 90s or early 2000s is when brushless DC motors really came into being. What that did is that really made it very easy to make very low weight and smaller unmanned aerial vehicles in size. So drones then started being less of these huge killer machines to these, well, ये तो बाद में आया, but to the quadrotors that you see in say wedding filmings or film shootings, and वहाँ से वो धीरे-धीरे यहाँ तक आया. So I think it's going more miniature, and now interestingly we are at a place where even the nano drones are finding smaller applications in defense space. Like we are going back towards defense in that area. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I sort of thought.
Afterwards.
Does somebody else have a question?
Since you are in drone startup, so we always have persons in academic who are working on same topics, right? So how do you match up the pace of innovation? Because in startup we have to manage like sales and all other things, and here they are working on like specific topics. So how do you match up with this pace of innovation and hand in hand apply this in field and carry
Right.
over operations?
So, do you want to answer this? Or?
Yeah.
So I'll put it this way: worrying about being obsolete is definitely a lot more is definitely a lot more intense in software space, software or internet space, because it's basically a few lines of code, right? Which entirely change the product that is out there. In case of hardware, it's definitely not as slow as it would be in say 80s or 70s or 90s, but as of today there is still a good time कि आपने एक product बनाया है तो वो थोड़े time तो चलेगा. Yes, you will always have to keep innovating because the process of innovation in hardware space takes a long time, right? तो वो आप अगर let's say you find out कि your product is obsolete say 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line, and then you start innovating, you're going to really struggle in the market. This will have to be a continuous process that we will keep bringing in as you grow.
And with the drones, it's still at the nascent stage. So still, if you build any product, so it will work for at least for 2-3 years.
So like if very amateur level guy is entering and he want to build something, so then how to figure out that where to start and like that all. Because there is so much of innovation was done, is already being done in this field. So if someone want to start like this field, so how can they approach it?
You can always start with what's easiest to enter, get a foothold there, build the distribution network there. Ki haan bhai, you know the customer, you have built a relationship with him, and then you go upstream, right? So if you're talking of drones, right, a good path that a lot of people are taking is they enter into services because services are easiest to deliver. They build a relationship with the customer, they build a relationship with the market, they build their own brand, and then they slowly start going upstream where they'll start building, say, only some features to the drone. Then dhire dhire they will get into drone manufacturing. Then dhire dhire they'll get into designing of the components. So it'll always, like if I were to do it, I might want to do it in that fashion.
So sir, I was asking this question because like I am interested in the topic of like 3D concrete printing, right? So if I see the technology, so if you want to develop the technology, the path would be somewhat that like your company follows, because here we need to like take on projects which are like affordable housing, so which are in touch with governments. We have to work in touch with government. That's what.
Thank you, Mr. Dinesh. A loud round of applause for Mr. Dinesh. Now we call upon stage a very young and accomplished entrepreneur who seems to be quite popular among the students of aerospace department, Mr. Ashtesh Kumar. After a BTech and MTech in mechanical engineering in 2017, he co-founded Manastu Space, a company developing green propulsion system for satellites to make access to space safer and cheaper. Sir, can you give us insights into what your startup was and how has the journey been?
So good afternoon everyone, I am Ashtesh Kumar. I graduated from IIT Bombay in 2017 and I think I am the least of the entrepreneurs here. I think especially in Yogesh's session I kind of revised the whole 5-year journey. So yeah. So truly speaking, I'm still learning entrepreneurship. I think the subject matter is so wide and so deep that it will take a whole lifetime to learn a lot of things. At heart, I'm still a techie, and as I told, like in my first year, Dinesh was the one who taught me how to fly a plane. So I was convener when he was aero modeling manager, right? So, so how many of you are from Hostel 4, Hostel 6? Yeah, good. So I was from Hostel 6 and did a lot of crazy stuff in Hostel 6. I don't know whether it's still going on or not. So yeah, so to begin with, like from even before coming to IIT, I was a very big space enthusiast, seeing all the ISRO launches and everything, and specifically I was very much interested into one specific domain called as impact engineering, where you don't the problem is you basically focus on using engineering solutions for solving some of the basic problems, problems like that of agriculture, water, and some of the very key necessities of every person. And I found space one of the very relevant platforms which people were using to solve some of these basic things. If let us talk about like currently people are using space for monitoring how the weather forecast is going to be, how climate conditions are changing. They are monitoring how pollution is getting affected. One of the major things people now are estimating how using satellites, people are estimating what kind of crop production we are going to have, what kind of crop failures we are going to have, what kind of rainfall we are going to have. So some of the applications which were touching every last person on earth. So now space is getting used for monitoring some of large illegal activities, especially in fields of fishing, mining, and everything. And obviously now people are also coming up with there are, if I broadly divide, there are two areas where people are currently focusing. One is remote sensing, getting a lot of data by putting satellites into low Earth orbit, and second is connecting the rest 40% of the world using internet satellites. So these are the two domains which I used to love before coming to IIT Bombay. But obviously most of us would have experienced that पहला हमारा एक competition होता था accelerate. Do you remember? So 90% of the जनता को समझ में आ जाता है कि टेक नहीं करना, right? And it's very not so glorious job as well, right? People are going, your friends will be going to salsa night, prom night, and you are there soldering कि कहाँ पे solder निकल गया है, क्यों नहीं चल रहा है ये, you're writing thousands of lines of codes, and people are enjoying life, so you feel that fear of missing out, right? And not to forget that hardware tech is harder, as everyone here acknowledges, and space tech is the hardest. Why? Why? Because for other techs you have that opportunity है कि खराब हो गया तो सही कर दिया, ये गया तो गया. You make it, you won't believe, I was part of IIT Bombay student satellite team called as Pratham, and we had other tech teams like the Formula 1 racing team, AUV team. Every year they used to go for some launches, कुछ तो competitions में, and हमारा हमेशा हर बार मेस के टेबल में मजाक उड़ाया जाता था कि बाकी सारी टेक टीम काम करती है, सैटेलाइट वाले कुछ करते नहीं हैं. Because in my final year, after 9 years of hard work, we launched the first satellite of IIT Bombay. So space tech is the hardest, because no matter you do anything here, there are hundreds of certifications, hundreds of qualification tests you need to pass. और ये सब चीज़ें हमें as when we are student, जब हम as a student कोई प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं तो क्वालिफिकेशन, सर्टिफिकेशन, क्वालिटी ये सब पता ही नहीं होता है. ये सब हम जब पहली बार प्रोडक्ट बना रहे होते हैं तब समझ में आता है कि ऐसी भी कोई चीज़ होती है, right? If you are making something, it has to work 10 out of 10 times, 100 out of 100 times. If it is failing even for one time, it's a serious issue, because hundreds of crores of rupees are involved when you are sending. 1 kg का उस वक्त cost around $20,000 होता था if you want to send 1 kg of something into space. Now it has come down to $5,000, but still it's very expensive. So so this was 5 years of my journey in IIT Bombay. As I told, we've launched the first satellite of IIT Bombay, and it involved, and one of the greatest thing about that time was I got an opportunity to work with some of the brightest and most brilliant people I met in IIT. Like, it required immense amount of enthusiasm, determination, and patience. There were people who left their end sems, mid sems, so that they can go and perform thermo-vacuum. There's a testing in which your satellite is put into a vacuum environment and it is made to feel as if it is in space. And it's one of the most critical testing, which you can see photos of the satellite going the thermo-vacuum testing. And once your satellite qualifies this testing, then it goes into space. So people left their mid-sems, end-sems, lot of exams, professors se ladai karke they went to, to do some of these testings. So yes, so in 2016 and September 26, we launched the first satellite after close to 8-9 years of hard work. And this is the time when Tushar, who is my co-founder, and I decided कि अभी तो लाइफ में यही करना है. So my co-founder Tushar, so he actually graduated. He was a 2 year senior to me. He passed out and he worked 2 years into DRDO. Understood कि IIT में ज़्यादा better काम हो रहा था, तो we thought कि please इसको record से हटा देना यार. So yes, so then we thought कि let us, and that was the time when hardware startups, the word startups was started buzzing. So we thought कि चलो कुछ करते हैं. There's not much opportunity in the industry right now, and if you want to do something in space tech apart from ISRO and DRDO. So but सोच तो लिया कि कुछ करना है, but करना क्या है? That was the biggest question, right? What is the problem we will solve? What is the product? Who will buy it? How will accumulate the funds? And this is deep tech. Still we are 5 years down, and still we are at later stages of technology development. Aerospace technologies takes huge amount of time to get developed and to see market. Many times it happens that by the time product gets developed, the market itself is over. So, and who will put funds into such kind of efforts, into such kind of products? Customer, market, all this kind. And the biggest problem was पापा नहीं मानेंगे and कपूर जी क्या कहेंगे. So this was the biggest problem. So these all were part of the problems, and we thought कि नहीं अभी startup करना, but करना क्या है? So we started with very random ideas. We started with a concept called as raccooning. So during World War, what Germans tried to do is, so in a launch vehicle, the most expensive thing is the first stage, because it has to cross the atmosphere and then go outside, and it requires really heavy engines and all those things. So 75% cost of a launch vehicle is actually the first stage. So Germans tried an interesting thing. उन्होंने क्या किया, first stage हटा के वहाँ balloon लगा दिया. So balloon took the second, third stage of rocket out of the atmosphere, and then the rocket engines fired. So this is called as raccooning. We thought कि हम ये बनाएंगे. अभी उस वक्त the electronics, microprocessor, controllers were all not so advanced. So that time it failed, but this time it had the potential. So we did all the working mathematics, I think. So we come up with the estimate कि by using this concept, we will be able to launch satellites which will be 10 times cheaper than the current launch costs. And we just need an investment of 100 crores. But देगा कौन 100 crores? So this was some part of the problems. Apart from that, also there were many problems. So we thought of doing this startup after the satellite launch, and I was in my final year. We incorporated the company, and after incorporating the company, we thought कि अभी क्या करना है वो सोचना चालू किया. उससे पहले अंततः नहीं startup करना. So then obviously you pass out, and once you pass out, the luxury of living in hostel rooms goes away, and Mumbai is expensive. So where to live, personal expenses, where to eat. So all these problems starts reflecting down a lot. Apart from that, like I think Yogesh sir also very nicely suggested. So there's entrepreneurship is a very for me it has been a very spiritual journey, because it will expose each and every character flaws in you at some point of the time. And so one of the major problems which I thought what our education system or people in IIT has not taught us is how to fail sufficient number of times. Till now we have always received accolades कि बहुत अच्छा किया, बहुत अच्छे grades, toppers in college. But that was that 1 year journey starting में was the first time when I faced where people laughed us out, where we went with presentation and people said कि no, this is just R&D, we are not going to fund some R&D. People laughed us out. People रहने को जगह नहीं है, कुछ दिन के लिए दे दिया कि हाँ रह लो, अब आगे बढ़ो. So that kind of thing we learned. So one interesting thing. So again, like Yogesh sir dived deep into I think clowning and theoretics. So one important thing I learned, I stepped into was I need to manage myself personally, and for that we need to understand who am I. It's a very big question which people have been asking from a lot of time. Like, am I this body? Am I this consciousness? What is consciousness? So I actually joined a monastery. So I met a monk and they have it's a organization called as Hare Krishna Monastery. I joined a monastery, lived there for 4 years, and learned some of very important concepts of discipline, tolerance, meditation. So, and one of the things which we actually miss as entrepreneurs, we miss in our life is self-awareness. When it's very difficult to find what you are not good at, you will always find out what you are good at. But as we call that statement, that chirag tale andhera, we don't understand what we are not good at. And many times in startup, we actually have to plan accordingly, understanding that what we are not good at. So these are some of the things I learned at that place. So long story short, so currently, after doing all this, we actually ended up identifying one problem statement, which, because of our relationship with ISRO, because we had worked with ISRO for 3-4 years, we understood that, and we had been closely following all the space conferences, all the, blogs which were published. So one of the I will just play a small video. So this is how what happens in a reactor, where you have one neutron hitting one uranium atom, which further releases neutron, and then there's a chain reaction which starts, right? So something similar problem is happening in space. As we know that there are more and more satellites getting launched, so any one satellite hitting another satellite has a potential to create millions of space debris. This debris again has a potential to hit other satellites, and this is actually a real life example of a Russian and a US satellite hitting 3 years back, which created close to a lakh of space debris. So, and each of this debris is moving at a speed 20 times that of a bullet, and so it has a potential to destroy an entire fleet of satellites. So, and once this chain reaction starts, this phenomena is called as Kessler effect. Like NASA scientist Kessler estimated it 20 years back, that if we have enough number of satellites and once we reach a threshold of these collisions, then all the satellites will go into a self-destruction mode. So this is how space looks currently. Actually, it's not a So just talking a bit about the problem, in last 60 years, we have launched close to 10,000 satellites, which has created 160 million space debris. And in next 10 years, we are planning to launch 60,000 satellites, which has a potential to create close to 100 billion space debris. So that is why people are now calling that space is going to be the next Chernobyl. It is going to be a very dangerous place for astronauts, for space tourism, for our satellites to be in. So one of the effective method to save the satellite fleets is using a propulsion system. So what happens on cars, on roads, basically is once you see an obstacle coming towards you, you use your engine and your steering wheel to move out of it. So similarly, to save your satellite from a impending collision, you use a collision avoidance systems or a propulsion system in space for your satellites. And obviously this needs to be very agile, so that on a very short notice you can maneuver out. They need to be very safe and efficient, because you have just enough amount of fuel on your satellites. Like cars, we can refuel. Till now, satellites are not refueled. So if you do enough number of maneuvers, your satellite will run out of fuel, and life of the satellite is over once your fuel is over. So this is one problem we identified, and just sometimes when you do your MTech thesis seriously, it helps you. So as part of my, apart from Pratham, I also, from my second year, I was a lot interested into combustion sciences. So I was working on a project where we were trying to develop a power source for a drone which can work into a Venus environment where there is no oxygen. Typically, we run the larger drones on some kind of engines which requires oxygen to be intaken from the atmosphere, right? But there we were planning if we can have a combustion source or a power source which will not be dependent on the oxygen present in the air. So I was working from second, it was a hobby project for the professor, and I was just learning stuff. And after 3 years, once we identified this problem, we identified that why don't, if we pivot this combustion system into a propulsion system for this application, how will it turn out? So we actually went ahead, made a proposal, and went to VSSC, that is Vikram Sarabhai's center, and in Kerala, and pitched them this concept, and they really found it interesting. And they encouraged us, you go ahead, we will help you in all the non-financial support. Finance you will have to figure out from yourself. So obviously, so till this time, or till the problem identification part and everything, I was passed out. Now, the ISRO trip was the last attempt to get some funding before I graduate, because after that there is no financial resource. So last trip made, came back 1500 rupees in accounts. So what to do next was the problem. How to develop this into something so that we can have a working prototype, so that people can start having some confidence. So I worked for 2 years in IIT as a part-time research assistant under one of the professors, where we both me and my co-founder, where we used to earn some 20-25K, and the professor used to help us with some of the resources, with some of the facilities, and we used to, whatever we used to get, and we used to उसमें से ही interns, 2-3 interns लेके, we started working on this. So the main innovations which we have developed a new propellant, a new engine, and there's something called, like IC engines have a spark plug which initiates combustion. There's a new catalyst which starts combustion inside these engines. So this is a major innovation which was part of my MTech thesis, and then we improvised on it for last 5 years and made it better. Then we got our first set of people who actually understood the problem. In 2018, when till 2018, till 2018, most of the people were like, this is an R&D project, we don't understand how it will work out, how it will turn out, who will buy. Once we get there was a call of application for this program called as Indian Innovation Growth Program, which generally happens for deep tech startups. And people from companies like Lockheed Martin, Tata Trust personally come to this program to judge the new startups and see who are working for technology for tomorrow. And we were not very hopeful when we applied for it, but somehow we got into the first round of selection. And once we make into the second round of selection, during our pitching session, he was the guy on the left hand side. He was the only person who understood what we are doing, and he said, "Oh, this is an amazing problem you guys are solving, and I never expected that in a country like India somebody will be solving this problem." And just because of this person, and in Indians we still have that inferiority complex that once a Firangi says, then obviously. So this was the first break, and from there we started expanding the team. Then Shell Oil and Gas invested into Manastu just right after this. And with this money we created some of the initial prototypes and fired our first, the entire technology put together, fired the first engines for the satellite on ground. I think I don't have the audio here, but it's fine. So this is a 1 Newton engine which we fired around 2 years back in our facility. Sound is not there, so you will not be able to see much. You will just see once the engine is running, it's just a 1 Newton engine, it will produce some 100 grams of thrust. So once it is running, it is going red hot because combustion is happening and all these things. So long story short, so after this demonstration, we got our first contract from DRDO to develop this technology for Indian defense satellites, which we got last year. And we recently got our second contract from a French launch vehicle company to develop this for upper stages of their launch vehicle. So yeah, and after that, the past has been behind, and we have represented India on various national and international forums. IIGP was the start, then we got an award from JAXA and the IAC and Hello Tomorrow. Yeah, so this is currently the team. I currently lead the team as CTO, and my co-founder, he takes care of all the non-technical activities. He's the CEO, and we currently have a people of 20-25 people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was quite interesting to know about the startups of space and the high budget startups. Okay. So, I'd like to call upon my core team member, Drona Agarwal, to present a small token of gratitude, and also the other 3 speakers on stage. Please give a loud round of applause for the guests for taking out their time and sharing this journey with us.
It was really great to have you
From
here.
the SARC team.
order of